Whatever the cost may be, we shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
So it's come down to this. The battle of the two heavyweights, the informed Brisbane Lions, the most informed team in the AFL competition right now, and a team that sits 3 games atop of the ladder, the Sydney Swans, who've looked a little bit shaky of late. It's a titanic tussle. It's a thriller in Manila. It's the war to end all wars. And it can only be one winner. And let it be us. What do you say, Abby?
Get that bloody theme music now!
Hello, Brisbane Lion fans and listeners and everybody else who's just watching us, like Big Brother, other podcasts, and the Brisbane Lions Football Club. You may know this next person I'm about to introduce. Not only is he a man, he's definitely not a myth. He is a legend. He's being recognised in public as a podcasting extraordinaire. And he's about to do some legally invoiced sportsman's nights at a footy club near you. Everybody wave hello to Al McGovern. Al, how you going?
The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
Ash, how are we?
Pretty good at the moment.
Look, I'm not going to let it go to my head, but I'm kind of a big deal now.
You're heading into Shannon Knoll territory, mate. If you don't walk up to a nightclub bouncer and say, "Do you know who I am?" in the next 2 weeks, I'll be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, no, I have been recognised, but I don't think it's going to be a life-changing experience for me anytime soon. But always happy to meet fellow Lions fans. Meeting a podcast listener is an unreal experience, so that's always really cool. But yeah, that was unreal.
Well, if Albie from the Obnoxious Football Fan on Facebook can do sporties, anything's possible for you, my friend.
That's it. The sky's the limit.
Now, Al and myself are not alone tonight, nor will we be for the remainder of the season. We have brought in a third. Did I say that out loud? Joining us is the beautiful, delightful, lovely, and all those other superlatives of which the list is very long and distinguished. Hello, Deb. Ra.
Hi, Ash. Hi, Al.
Howdy.
Thanks for having me officially for the rest of the season. Loving this. So
just on that for the listeners, you might be hearing a little bit less of me at times. Just because, I mean, you know, see when you sound like Kelly Underwood on a good day. No, it's not really that. I do have a few things on my plate coming up. So as you would have noticed recently, Deb did step up to the plate when I was unavailable recently. And our listenership spiked dramatically. So the people have spoken.
was totally all me. Absolutely nothing to do with you guys. Clearly.
Whoa, well, nothing to do with me. I wasn't there.
All right. It was all me, guys. So
it was totally it's all Al. We're just the window dressing to the Al show.
Stupid sexy Al.
We all get compliments from the comments, and we'll touch on some of those in the mailbag coming up shortly.
Yeah, no, let's get right into that now. So you've got a little bit to talk about just before the mailbag, I'm sure, and then about some of our social media, and then get right into the mailbag.
Yeah, sure.
Let's hit that now.
Yeah. Am I reading the mailbag now, or am I?
Yeah.
Okay. You made it seem like I was something else first. You might have to cut this part out.
We are currently live on air, folks.
You might have to cut this part out.
I'm leaving it in. It's a win for me.
Beauty. So we had a lot of feedback over the last week and several weeks, but we've had across many platforms, a lot of people reaching out to us. So over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, emails, we've had lots and lots of feedback. So keep that coming, guys. We'd really appreciate it. So I'll just try and blast through these as quickly as possible. So first one here. So Karen and Tim, the magician.
Tim is a magician.
Yes. JD Andrews. So thanks to the three of those for joining our new Patreon, which is free. You're welcome to join at any time for some additional content that we do put up occasionally. We were meant to put up a video earlier in the week, but Ash got sidetracked with family business, as we all understand. Yeah. So big thanks also to everyone who has been supporting us on TikTok. We've smashed past 800 followers milestone, with 500 of those joining in the last fortnight alone, which is incredible. And a lot of our videos are going over the 1,000 view mark, which is also incredible.
Yes, our little social media manager is doing a great job there.
Yep.
Shout out to the wonderful, amazing Abby.
Yeah, she's awesome. Never misses an episode.
Well, is
that by choice?
When you guys listen back to this, you'll hear her voice at the very start of this episode before the theme music.
Oh yay!
She's done a cashy. All right, what else have we got in the mailbag? I'm sure there's more.
Yep, no, there's plenty more. So through email, we got an email from Edward Paps, and he says, Alan, Ash, and Debbie. Close enough. I'll let it slide. Alan. Love your work, guys, on both potties, referring to the podcast that the two of you guys do.
Oh, cool.
Want to give a little shout out to that potty?
That's currently called Shift Talk, but we got a cease and desist. We have to change the name.
Oh, geez.
And if you've listened to our latest episode, as one of our listeners did, they suggested we change the name to Sibling Rivalry. You have to listen to the episode to get that. Anyway, do go on.
They wanted to point out that they agree that Angry Deb is good Deb, apparently.
I concur.
Yep. And they said, Alan Ash, I can tell you two are great mates. The rapport you have is so good. And not only do you love your footy, but you both come across as a couple of bros who love life, which is true.
That is
That's
correct.
We've known each other for a long time and we know each other quite well and we get along very well.
Yes, and we are dude bros. We get around in our pickup trucks and listen to Toby Keith.
Of course.
Yeah.
And Ash and Deb, you two have this amazing connection on Shift Talk. And the way you feed off each other's jokes has me in stitches. You both have this cute energy that makes listening a warm experience.
Oh, thank you.
Eddie finishes off by saying, I love the way you've evolved both potties with each episode, and the newest artwork looks shit hot. Keep it up, guys, Eddie. He's a good man, Eddie.
Yes.
He is. Thank you very much for all your help behind the scenes.
Yes, we love it. Thanks, mate. And we have Sean Whelan on Facebook. Great episode, especially like the listener recording by Jules, referring to previous episode. We had a speak pipe message from Jules where he had a grievance and we all listened to it and we all reacted to it. Tune into the other episode to have a listen to that one and see what you think.
And just before you go on with that, and as I keep saying, I don't know the individual numbers per episode, but I'm pretty sure just from the traffic we're getting that's taken over as our most listened to episode ever. And we will explain a little bit more about that later in the mailbag, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Yep. Keep going.
Yep. The club must do better. He says he agrees 100%. The club must do better at recognizing Fitzroy's legacy. Generally love and respect the work of the media team, but in this department, they are definitely dropping the ball. Pun intended, he says.
I got it. Sean is a very good friend of the show.
Yep.
He gives great feedback. He's pretty active on social media on a lot of the Brisbane pages and groups and gives great insights. He's a massive diehard Lions fan, and on his own personal social media, I don't know if he has it public or not, but I have access to it, and he has some really good stuff on there as well. Just general stuff. So he's a good man.
He also had like a PS as well. He just wanted to mention, he just wanted to point out that the crowd did not throw an object at McKenna's head. It was someone throwing back the game ball, and it might have hit McKenna in the head. Didn't see or hear about this one, so I'm not.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brownie had it as his. I want to say his ugly on. I think it was Brownie, one of them on the couch.
Right.
So that's where I saw that it was a ball. But before that, when they were showing it in game time, it looked like something that wasn't a ball. So thanks for pointing that out, Sean. Appreciate that. But still, even if it is a game ball, don't throw it at players' heads.
Yeah,
I agree with that
and
completely.
don't throw steel rubbish bins at players' heads like someone did in the A-League a year or so ago.
So, and then Kim Dry on Facebook. Kim is mentioning the fact that during the week we had a technical difficulty with the Apple side of uploading our podcast. It uploaded perfectly fine on Spotify and all the other platforms, YouTube, whatnot. But for some reason, it just wouldn't upload properly through the Apple side of things. So we put a little message out there kind of letting people know. And Kim's just responding saying, sweet, looking forward to it. Episode 42, that is. I have an hour commute to work and an hour and a half home. So it fills the travel time nicely. That's good feedback there.
Yeah.
Fantastic feedback. Maybe it was the first strike of the cloud going down today.
Maybe it was Operation Bluebeam in their cloud holograms.
Ash has got his tinfoil hat on again.
Dev knows what I'm talking about. And so will the Shift Talk listeners.
So, and Christopher Chen via Facebook. Great episode, guys. Please accept my apology for your loss, Ash. No doubt your dad would have been glad to see the Lions win up there.
Yeah, he would have loved it, especially beating a team from the family's home state, original home state.
Definitely. And then we have Matt Burns via Facebook. It's sad how much of our history isn't promoted. Both Bears, and he puts in brackets, there is a podcast showing how the Bears were formed. Worth a watch on how to not start an AFL team. Skate should never have been allowed near the team or the league and Fitzroy. I'm sure that there's a lot of Queenslanders who don't know much about them.
Yeah, I think that podcast is on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it recently. When I find it in my history, I'll give a shout out to the guy who created it on one of our coming episodes.
Yep. And we have Paul Waite via Facebook. Bloody good podcast, guys. I bloody love it. Bloody Ash and bloody Deborah and bloody Sir Alistair. I bloody love listening to every episode. Lion emoji.
Bloody
love your comments.
Bloody good comment, really.
Well, you can tell Paul bloody listens to our bloody show because I like to say bloody a bloody lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then we have Jules Sheldon here. So this is in reference to the voice message that Jules sent through previously that we'd reacted to. So he sent this through Instagram. Thank you very much for the answer, gang. And a huge thank you from Jess and I. Yeah, a huge thank you from Jess and I for our anniversary shout out.
Aww.
Yeah.
Jules also has some more ideas on how to best pay tribute to the club's various chapters of history, which we'll explore in future episodes soon. So I look forward to hearing that. We'd love to hear back from you on that one.
I have read his ideas, and there's some really good ones there. I actually sent him a message back to say I pretty much agree with everything you've said there. So we will address it because it will be quite lengthy.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
The more we can do to address it, the better.
For sure. And we have Nadia Gashi. I'm pretty sure I spelled that pronounced that correctly through Instagram.
I had a crack at it a couple of episodes ago myself, and I don't know if I got it right or not, but she didn't correct me.
Nadia Gashi sounds about right. We'll see. Regarding the Apple outage on Wednesday morning, I was so upset I couldn't listen last night. Thank you for the update. So it's great that people were so interested that they tried to look for a workaround.
Yeah,
so hopefully it worked on all the other platforms.
Nadia was devastated, and when I sort of let her know it's up on YouTube, she was wrapped.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She never misses an episode, and every episode she sends a little love heart or a little screenshot to our Instagram inbox to let us know she's on. And any social media posts we put on Instagram, she's straight away in the inbox with a love heart as well. So Nadia, we love you.
Yeah, and then there's one here from Karen as well. Did you want me to touch on that one or?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Good friend of the show, Karen.
She is. A good friend, Karen, sent directly to Ash and said, "Oh, thank you for that, I need a much needed boost. Podcast is saving my sanity at work. I have it on now. P.S. I'm not one of those Karens, thankfully. Silly West Coast supporters. Both Deb and Al's giggle is positively life. Please send my apologies to Alistair for not being talkative at the Pineapple. He did compliment on his T-shirt, though. Yeah, thanks for that, Karen. That's all right. I had no issues with that at all. It was just a pleasure to meet you. So
Very much so.
One of the loveliest Lions fans anyone will ever meet. Absolutely.
She was great.
Heart of gold, would give anyone the shirt off her back.
Yep.
Figuratively, not literally. And because we all have our own shirts.
Yep.
But
she was excellent. I had nothing but nice things to say about her. She was fantastic.
Yeah,
and can confirm she's not one of those Karens, as she said.
She definitely is not.
Beautiful soul, both inside and out.
Correct.
That's exactly right. So that's the mailbag. Thank you for everyone who messaged us on the various platforms. Once again, if you want to send us a voicemail through SpeakPipe, just search for We Are the Pride on SpeakPipe and send that through to us, and we will play it on the show.
What's our email address?
Do you want to go with that one? do you manage that inbox? I don't have access to that inbox.
Brisbane Lions podcast at gmail.com.
I'm still stoked we got that one, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good. That's a
Sounds
bit
like
of
the media team kind of dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll take it. Thanks,
Yep.
media team.
Yoink.
I guess theirs would be Brisbane Lions podcast at lions.com.
Yeah, they've got their own domain. That's fair.
Cal and Nuxie, we're coming after you.
Hot on their heels.
Yeah, we'll keep Cal on our show when we take over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was about to say, we're not campaigning against Cal here, are we? Because I might have to protest that.
Surprise introduction next week. Post, Cal Archie.
Yep.
To be determined.
Sorry, Nuxie. We do love you, but we had to flip a coin and Cal won.
Yeah, it's just chances of the way things work sometimes, you know.
It was one of those ones that had tails on both sides, and tails never fails, mate. So. Anyway,
all right, beauty.
All right. Well, do you guys have any sort of general news or anything that's happened Lions related in the last 48 to 72 hours?
Well, I mean, the Charlie Cameron ban was overturned, thrown out completely at the appeals board. So that was exciting. I wasn't sure how that one was going to pan out. It happened the way that I thought it should have, but I was unsure if it was actually going to pan out. So, yeah, exciting. We've got Charlie in the team this weekend.
Yes, and somebody's gloating, aren't they?
I was right. I mean, I was 2 days later, I was right than I thought I'd be, but I was right. Interesting to note, though, that it was because of a technicality rather than anyone actually admitting whether what he did was dangerous or not. I know going to the appeals tribunal, it has to be a point of law, like they're not re-arguing the case.
Yep.
But it's given the AFL a bit of a standing to basically go, no, it's still a dangerous tackle, which has given no clarity on this. Because even what they sent out today in this is a dangerous tackle and this isn't, none of them were anything like either Charlie's or Toby's. So that was very interesting. I also did find it very hilarious that the Giants subsequently used the same argument the Lions used when they realised it won. So Giants...
Yeah, they basically just said, whatever they said.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get on the winning team.
Shout out from David Zeta. He said that the Lions appeal that we put together was the best he'd seen put together for that process in a very long time. So fantastic effort by our lawyers.
Well, just before you go on, no, we actually did have Dennis Denudo on the case this time.
Oh no!
So it was Marbo and it was the vibe.
It's the Constitution, guys. It's the vibe. It'll laugh so much later in this pod.
A great result all around.
Yeah,
fantastic result.
Yeah, very, very good. And sorry,
just before we go on off that topic, shout out to the Lions and Giants media teams, because their hits both on Tuesday night and Thursday were just spot on.
And I've got a plot twist.
Oh, it's an M. Night Shyamalan kind of thing, is it?
No, it's a Patrick Cripps one. Imagine if Charlie Cameron and Toby Bedford tie for the Brownlow this year.
Talk about a smoky.
Oh my god, that'd be massive, Smokey.
Yeah, all those other podcasts that are sponsored by gambling shows are currently scrolling on their phones on whatever gambling company sponsors them to see what odds they can get for that.
Yep.
We don't do that. We're nice people.
No, we don't
Wow.
endorse gambling.
Yeah.
Gamble responsibly.
Or not at all, either way.
Not at all.
Yeah. And having said that, if somebody does want to sponsor our show, other than Forex, Al and I have had a board meeting about this. We'll take your money, Forex, but we won't drink your beer.
Got to take a line somewhere. You know?
We have to make a stand.
I mean, I don't drink beer full stop these days because there's so many other better choices. So I don't really care either way.
Like water.
Like wine or the bazillion spirits on offer.
Yeah.
So many better options.
Which one sponsors our football club?
Forex.
Okay. All right. Anyway, anything
It's
else?
the Queensland beer team. Of course they do.
It is. They've got to sponsor it.
No, but shouldn't we be having the White Sharks and the Black Sharks?
Oh, the Great Northerns.
See,
I think they're technically Queensland based.
I pay attention.
Do they sponsor the Cowboys? That's a missed opportunity if they don't.
I think they do, but I don't really follow Chucky Ball, so
No, neither do I. The hand egg World Cup.
The Cowboys. Does Jonathan Thurston still play for them?
no,
he retired
he's
like
long
30,
retired.
35 years ago, mate.
That's how much attention I pay to the Cowboys.
I reckon they still wish he was playing for them.
Oh, I wish he was playing for us. I reckon he'd be good at AFL too. He's just one of those guys.
He's just one of those guys who can do anything.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Beyond measure.
Envious but frustrating. Those kind of guys.
Yeah, he killed the Storm in a prelim. Would have been about what year did the Cowboys win the flag? I think 16 or so.
Was that the year they played the Broncos?
Yeah, and it was like a golden point victory to the Cowboys.
I think I remember that actually. I'm not a rugby fan as everyone knows, but a lot of my mates are rugby fans, so I think we were out at the pub and they had to watch it. So I was begrudgingly forced to watch it, but I was pretty incredible into that game.
Oh, well, the week before was not so incredible for me as a Storm fan, but you get that. All right, so anything else happening in Lions Land that anyone needs to know about that you guys know about?
I just wanted to,
go on.
before we go any further, give a shout, well, not a shout out, but our commiserations to the Duncan family on the passing of former Fitzroy player Stuart Duncan.
Yes.
So he played about 30 games for Fitzroy back in the 1960s, but was also father to Nicole Duncan, who passed away earlier this year, who was a club stalwart. So we just wanted to give our commiserations and thoughts and prayers along to the family.
Less than a year apart.
Yeah, and just to let everyone know that the Lions players will be wearing black armbands this weekend in honour of him. So
fantastic.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear that. The armband part of it, obviously.
Yeah, and you two that are allegedly in the studio with me can see over my one of my shoulders, my right shoulder. There's a Fitzroy jumper hanging up at the back there.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
we fly down for every episode, mate. We all cram in together, right?
100%.
We'll have to do that one day.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like you should come up here. I feel like, it's a little bit easy to
two
get
against
Al and I
one.
together.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
2 plane tickets to 1 plane ticket. Yeah.
Excuse to come up for another game.
I could come up for other reasons as well.
Yeah, true.
Like the
You can
cricket.
come up and see us anytime. Yeah, or cricket. Yeah.
And there's probably other reasons I could go up there. I could think of off the top of my head.
You want to prepare for the Olympics.
Maybe one day
That's what it
I
is.
might even move there.
Hey, yeah.
I mean, the weather would suit you.
Well, any weather suits me.
You could use a tan, let's be honest.
I'm wearing shorts right now and it's 6 degrees where I live. And yes, I could use a tan.
Not that I have one and I've lived here my whole life, so
No, not that
glass houses,
that would require me
sink
going
ships.
out in the sun.
The guy on reception at my gym today, when I walked up to ask for a hydro bed, just to have a bit of hydro massage after my session.
Well,
When I walked up to him, he goes, "Oh, do you need a tanning bed tonight, mate?" I'm like, am I that white?
Gee, what sort of fancy gym do you have that you have hydro beds and tanning beds and wow.
yeah, that's fancy as.
Yeah, I
Very
know.
fancy.
Why do you think I'm broke? I paid the big bucks. at the
Do you
gym.
think that was an upsell from him, or do you reckon it was
Oh, yeah.
jab and a jab?
It's like when you go to a servo and they offer you, two Mentos or Mentos, whatever they're bloody called, and a couple of Freddo Frogs and I don't know.
Oh, yeah, when they're like, do you want a
Yeah.
fistful of junk right in front of you for 5 cents off a litre?
Yeah,
Like,
and,
yes, obviously I do.
and 14 cartons of cigarettes, and do you want to buy premium instead of regular or unleaded? Yeah, along those lines. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get into the teams. And
Let's do it.
Al, do you want to give us who's in? And Deb, after that, you can give us who's out, or vice versa?
Yep.
Sure.
Which one do you want, Al?
I'll go with the ins, if that's all right
Yep.
with you. Just
Yep.
because there's
course.
a player that is in that I've been really excited about the potential of coming in for a long time. I was
With-
going to mention this on the team news, but I felt leaving it till now was probably a good time. Did you want to say something, Ash?
Yeah, well, as regular listeners will know, you and I have been on this fella for a while.
Absolute bandwagon of this fella.
And ironically, the first time I can remember seeing him play football for the Lions was in a VFL game out at Icon Park.
Mm.
He played centre half forward, and his opponent that day was Harley Reid,
Mm.
Oh,
playing centre half back for Carlton.
interesting.
Yeah, little tidbit, fun fact.
So I'm clearly talking about Brendan Starcevich coming back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that hype build up was definitely for him.
Hey,
Definitely
we love you,
handy-
Starcy.
Oh yeah, absolute. Love him. He's essential.
Stoked to have you back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's good to on a serious note. It's good to have him back because
Yeah.
he was had a concussion, and those things can get pretty nasty. And
They
it's
can.
good to see that he bounced back fairly quickly from
Very
that one.
much
So
so.
welcome back, Starcevich. Great to see you, mate. And
Yay.
just in good time too, because the Swans have a lot of really good small forwards too.
They've got just a lot of very good forwards, full stop.
A mosquito fleet, as would the commentators would say.
Hmm.
Copycats.
Now, the big one, obviously, the big dog himself, shares a surname with one of the co-hosts. No relation, I'm sure.
I wish.
Claim him.
First game, Henry Smith.
Yay!
I'm
Yes.
so excited about this. Now, if there's listeners involved that don't know a huge amount about him, because obviously it's his first game, not a lot of people watch the VFL games. He was drafted as a ruckman
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, I think, 2019, 2020. It's been a list for a couple of years now.
Same year as Harry Sharp, so I think was
Yeah.
it 20?
Yeah,
20.
Yeah.
around about the COVID era. And he was drafted as basically a pure ruckman who could kick a couple of goals. But
Mm.
he started off fairly quiet in the VFL team in the last couple of years, but he has hit the ground running this year, and he has been one of our leading goal scorers in the VFL.
Absolute
He-
gun.
On fire.
He's kicking anywhere between 2 to like 5 goals a game in the VFL. So
Hmm.
for someone who was brought in to be, set up as a long-term replacement for Oscar in the future and get a bit of experience here and there, he's looking like a really promising key forward as well, who can play in the ruck. So I'm really excited that he's getting his first chance. And please, please, please do not
Don't put him
as
as
sub.
sub.
No sub for debuts.
Wait, shh, don't reverse jinx it.
Oh,
Touch
big pet
all
peeve.
the wood.
Big pet
And-
peeve of mine.
I believe he's the tallest man on our list as well.
Even more than Oscar.
I think he is taller than Oscar. Yeah, hold on.
I think of Oscar as the tallest man alive, so it's just hard in my mind to
Well,
rationalise that.
Oscar and Eric Hipwood are the same height.
Yeah, I would never
They
have
are.
guessed that.
Yeah.
206
fascinating.
centimeters. So yeah, he is taller,
Yeah.
2 centimeters taller
And-
than Oscar.
Joe
Mm.
Danaher looks taller because he pulls his socks up
Mm.
all the way. And I love that about Joey.
Some little physics science experiment, a little
Mm.
thing there to deception of the brain or something.
Mm.
Correct.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you
So
are
those are our
correct.
ins.
So taken in the 2020 NAB draft as our third pick.
2020. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, that's been a pretty good draft in hindsight because we got obviously Harry Sharp and Henry Smith, and there was one other. Who was the other guy we got?
Was that the Eli Smith draft?
No, he was the year before, I think.
He was.
Oh, no, he was 18, 2018.
Yeah, he was 18. He was. We used the pick we got for Dane Beams to get Eli Smith.
Yeah.
Oh,
Less said about that, the better, I think.
yeah, I'm always trying to find ways to insert Dane Beams into our podcast because he likes
Well-
inserting himself into conversations he doesn't belong in. on,
Well,
on social media.
We did have an
Like-
off-air conversation about renaming the podcast the Dane Beams podcast. So
Well, we did, and I sent
I will
Dane.
quit in protest.
I did slide into Dane's DMs on Instagram, and he blocked me. So.
oh, spewing.
Blake
well, he's off
Coleman
now.
was the
I'm off
third
him.
one from that draft.
Who was that?
Blake Coleman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, never really got it to work out. He's a Williamstown boy now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on the Williamstown list, not playing
Mm.
regularly, but I'm actually wearing, I shouldn't say it out loud, but I'm wearing my Williamstown hoodie at the moment.
Ooh, controversial. You timed that well.
Yep.
Jeez, mate.
It's
Hey.
like it was planned or something.
Yeah.
Or
But
wasn't.
I'm wearing my cricket club's cap with a Viking on it.
Well, that's good.
Hmm.
How much sports merch do you own just across
Not
clubs? And
a lot, actually. I don't own a lot of stuff at all for myself, to be honest.
Mm.
I must admit, I have probably enough clothes to last me one set of clothes for each day of the week, and then I wash them.
Yeah, well, that's all you need, right?
Yeah, because you know they supply me
That's all
with
you need.
they supply me with uniforms at work. So
Yeah.
And on a positive note, my place of employment actually gave me some pretty good news today. I'll relay that to
Yeah.
you guys off air. So
Oh,
That's awesome, mate.
yeah,
pay for news.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, 7 pounds of clothes. That's all you need, mate. You're not the king of England. Come on.
I tell you, when I went up to Brisbane the other week, we all just took like a backpack or whatever, and Deb can confirm how light we travelled.
It makes perfect sense that Abby's was the heaviest backpack. Because girls have to bring more stuff.
Well,
You guys will get a kick out of this. The first time
Yep.
I ever went to a different city was I flew to Sydney with one of my older sisters,
Yeah.
and I took a plastic Coles bag, which are discontinued. Not the ones with the names on it, just the generic green, greyish ones.
Yeah.
yeah.
It had a phone charger, toothbrush, a couple of pairs of undies, and like maybe 2 shirts. And I just wore jeans. It was only a 2-day trip, so it wasn't a long one. And that was
Mhm.
all I took to Sydney. All I needed. Brush my teeth, charge my phone, had my wallet and my phone in my pocket. That's all I needed.
My
Couple of pairs of
man.
undies, just in case, because you never know. You never know.
Like options.
See, I like this. This is why we're mates. Yeah.
Like I said, mate, I'm not part of the
Well,
royal
actually-
family. Like, let's not get ridiculous.
Tell you what, I'll travel with either of you because then you guys can take your tiny little nothingness and I'll just take all of your baggage allowance. We'll be fine.
Oh, that's fair.
Mm.
Well, I'll buy a bunch of stuff to bring back, so I'll use it on the way back.
You'll
Yeah.
probably take half my seat as well. I can just see it. Like you'll be like when Dylan Buckley was sitting in front of us on the way back from Brisbane, and he kept sliding over to the person next to him and pushing them halfway across their seat.
Nah, I'm not like that. This is my spot on the plane and I'm sticking with it. But I do appreciate what you said, Al, because when I went to the US several years ago, literally took a suitcase inside a suitcase and about a quarter of that suitcase was full. And then everything else was just for stuff that we bought over there and bought back.
Yeah.
So
Bring less, bring back more.
that is definitely the way to travel.
Yeah,
Buy all the
sure.
duty-free stuff, of course.
sometimes. Mostly
Now,
clothes. Let's be honest. Mostly clothes.
Are we aisle, middle, or window seat people?
Ooh. I
I-
normally get relegated to the middle when I'm traveling with my family because I'm the least bothered by it.
Mm.
But it's not a choice. That's not your preference, right?
No, my preference is probably the aisle.
I was aisle both trips to and from Brisbane. Brock in the middle, his choice, and then young Abby got to have the window both ways.
I'm a window because I'm still mentally 6 years old, and I'm like, I want to watch the plane take off.
I just
Drew
travel with
Barrymore.
people that are very set in where they like to sit, and I'm so unbothered. So
Yeah.
they normally go the window, and I'm normally like, I don't care. It's going to get me to the same spot at the end. I don't care.
That's true.
Unless it's a business class upgrade, in which case sign me up every time. I never get those.
So, back to football.
Oh, did we
Priorities.
go on a tangent again? Oh,
How dare
do that
we?
sometimes.
How dare us do that?
Mm-hmm.
Deb, we had some outs. Do you want to elaborate on who that might have been?
Yes. Just before we do, though, in relation to the very exciting news that Henry is coming in, for those listeners who haven't looked up his goal song, it is Twist and Shout by the Beatles. So make sure you know that one ahead of time for anyone getting along to the Gabba.
I can see people on Reddit already calling him a boomer.
He's not the only one.
I can see the Ferris Bueller clips coming up on the scoreboard right now.
Yeah, you just drive the car in reverse so the mileage goes down.
Hey, it's good to have a song that everyone knows. And I mean, the Beatles go well at the Gabba. Hugh's Hey Jude gets a lot of response.
Right, yeah.
I want to see a 206 centimetre man doing the twist after kicking a goal.
No, we don't need any more ACL injuries. Come on.
That's true. That is true. So a couple of outs, obviously, to go with our couple of ins. So Logan Morris, who's been omitted.
Oh, gutted.
It hurts. That really hurts. Like, I'm super excited for Henry, but that hurts.
I think with Logan Morris, he was starting to get a bit tired the last couple of games. And
he's still a young fella.
Yeah.
He's only just gone 18. So.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where he's just going to go have a bit of a rest and a bit of a reset, recharge the batteries. He probably wasn't expecting to play that many games in a row from debut as it was. So, yeah, he'll be fine.
And
he
then
could be a secret weapon Deb. He could be a secret weapon if we rest him up now and bring him in for finals, maybe.
Oh, how exciting would that be?
Just load him up with Maccas and some soup, and he is going to be golden.
Well, he might have a Macca's breakfast on Sunday in preparation for a late out.
Yeah,
just in case.
Get the Macca's hotcakes. They're a sponsor.
Yum.
I shouldn't speak ill of other podcasts, but it's kind of...
Oh, geez, here we go.
I feel bad for Dom and Fish over at the Raw Deal. They got their merchandise order in this week with all the Logan McMorris hats that everybody's going to be wearing to the Gabba on Sunday. So I feel for you guys because I thought that crap only ever happened to me. So.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a Logan McMorris hat, but still.
All right, so who's the other out?
Our other out is Connor McKenna, who has been managed. So
that's a fancy word dropped.
Yeah, I think someone was listening to our crosses this week. So.
Listening to your crosses.
Well, I wasn't going to big note myself like that. But, yeah.
It's. I guess I probably should get into it, unless you guys have got some more you want to say about the outs. I'll get into this.
I was going to basically ask how this decision was reflecting with you as the number one ticket holder of the Connor McKenna fan club.
Oh, as I've said many, many times, I love him because I love the man.
Yep.
But if he's not playing, his football isn't good enough or his body needs a bit of a rest, the club comes first. The club always comes first.
Of course.
The club is bigger than the individual. I've had to say that to my own kids when they've been managed out of teams when they've been feeling a bit sore or whatever. So, yeah. So just before I do get into the Swans game as well, the umpires are 70 and Essendon's 47 in tonight's game.
They've come back a little bit.
That's just a joke for the Essendon supporters. The umpires aren't really 70. It's Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide kicked 8 goals in a row against them, so...
I'm going for the Crows in this one, to be honest. I know they're clearly the favourite, they're ahead by a lot, so of course they're the favourites, but I'll always go for non-Victorian teams over Victorian teams.
Yeah.
Rude.
for live ladder watchers, earlier on in the game, it was about an hour ago, actually, about 7:50-ish. Essendon were on the live ladder, they were second. They're now sixth.
Yep.
And they've only got a percentage of 97.3, which is
fantastic.
Coming into this time of year, a lot of our fans like to have a bit of a cry about us never having enough percentage.
Well, I mean, we've only got the second best percentage in the league. So definitely not enough.
No, in previous seasons, not this one. If I was an Essendon fan, I'd be starting to get a bit worried.
Oh, Dawson's out injured. I don't know if he's been ruled out of the whole game, but he's currently
from the Crows.
Yeah.
He's been out for a while. So
I don't know. He got.
Murray's been out for a while too.
He got injured in this game.
Yeah, that's happened in the last about 5 minutes because I've got a Jill screen. I've got the game going on the other one.
Oh, of course. You can't help yourself, can you? You're such a football fan.
She's a
I'm
nuffy.
such a nuffy. But yes, you're 100% right that it is Essendon versus the umpires because free kick counts
Ooh.
currently 9-6 to the Crows. So
That's not
clearly
that
it's the
big of a
umpires.
difference.
But
Oh,
see,
come
Not as
on.
big as ours last week.
you being
No.
you being a nuffy is why we love you so much. Because we can relate.
Oh, yeah. Everyone listening to this can relate.
We invented the word nuffy.
I'm not even joking. I've literally.
So is it wrong of me that I didn't even notice Dawson when he played against us the other week?
I don't think I did either, to be honest.
I
He had
did
a
not.
couple very late in the piece, but he wasn't really anything of anything before that.
Did not even know he was on the ground. So I'm obviously not a Channel 7 commentator because they have a very large feeling for him.
They do. Well,
Okay.
I mean, they've got to support him at the moment because Rankin's out. So who else are they going to talk about on the Crows? Certainly not Ben Keys, who's been playing out of his skin, but
we love Ben Keys.
we do. He's already kicked 3 goals this game.
So for the Swans, they have 3 outs. Justin McInerney is injured, and I traded McInerney out of my AFL fantasy team a couple of weeks ago. So
good timing.
Make what you will out of that. Callum Mills is managed, and I'm pretty sure he only just came back from injury. So that's a very interesting one. But that's a big boost for us anyway.
Oh, for sure. He's one of their golden boys.
Yeah, and the other guy who seems to be the golden boy of the media in Victoria for some reason, and I think it's because his sister also plays in the AFLW, so they love to have those little narratives about the family that plays together and all that, even though she's at a different club. James Rowbottom, he's injured, and look, I personally don't rate him as much as what the Victorian media and the TV commentators do. He's a good player. He's a good player, but he's not Errol Goulden, Isaac Heaney, Chris Hemsworth, or Chad Warner. Good.
He plays a pretty decent defensive sort of shutdown, almost sort of like a Josh Dunkley kind of role for the Swans. And it'll be very interesting to see because last time we played the Swans, it was Mills and Rowbottom that really did the role of tagging Lachie Neale and trying to get rid of his influence. I mean, he's still got 3. He's got 3 Brownlow votes in the last 2 games we've played against the Swans.
Yeah,
so,
who won that game?
The last game against the Swans. Wasn't that them? Start of last year?
No.
Since then, have we?
We've played them since then.
When?
I don't think this game will be good for the Brownlow hopes of adding additions of points he might get. Maybe he's not going to have a 3-point game in this one. 3-point game, I should say.
So the ins for the Swans is Corey Warner, brother of the Chad. The Chad
Warner.
Future Fremantle Dockers captain, allegedly, Chad Warner.
Well, if you
Harry Cunningham. And the most gorgeous man alive, allegedly, Isaac Heaney.
I think you were the one. You were the one pointing that one out, weren't you? You were big on Heaney.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call him the most gorgeous man alive. Like he's not even the most attractive AFL footballer alive.
Nobody's very good at picking up sarcasm, are they?
When you say alive, Deb, is the person that you're thinking about, are they a past player or are they a current player?
Oh, I was thinking of current players, but yeah, if you include past players,
who is the most gorgeous AFL player alive?
That's a good question.
And age not being a factor.
No,
so it's not weird if I say someone super young.
No.
Well, that's a personal choice. Love is love.
Thanks.
Not a pickle, my pickle, potentially, but
I'd probably go Will Ashcroft. That hair, he's got the Prince Charming hair.
That's 2 votes in 2 weeks for Will Ashcroft and his hair.
But if he shaved his head, would you still think highly of him in that regard?
Probably not as.
There we go. There we go.
Well, I mean, the hair is not half, but it certainly contributes to the appeal.
It's like a whole thing. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as we're playing this game, I'm going to run with a with a past player.
Yeah,
Yep.
go for it.
Danny Southern of the Footscray Bulldogs. Not really. No. This man is still a very, very sexy, handsome man. And I'm
What was his name?
Danny Southern. No, it's not Danny Southern. Don't worry. It's Alistair Lynch.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
Come on. He's a rooster.
he
No.
is.
He is a peacock.
I mean, he's lovely, but
He's still.
I wouldn't. No.
Well,
I love him. He's one of my all-time favorites, but no.
Well,
Like, if you're going to go someone from that era, Luke Powell was far more attractive than Lynchy.
oh, interesting. I've never heard anyone say that before. But a very, very lovely, beautiful mutual friend of ours, young Anita,
Yeah.
very big fan of Alistair Lynch, I believe.
She is. Yes, she sits very near to where his mum sits at the football, and his mum's the most beautiful heart. So,
I think
yes.
Alistair Lynch absorbed all of the good looks from all of the Tasmanians of his generation when he was born.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brendan Gale, not really much of a rooster.
I'd probably put Nick Rewald ahead of Lynchy.
He's a Queenslander.
He's a Tassie boy.
He's a Queenslander.
Oh,
I'm claiming him.
Hey, he grew up as a Brisbane Lions supporter, so he's a Queenslander.
that's true. That is true.
Come back, Nick.
Actually, Brisbane Bears supporter.
Didn't Sam Walsh too? Come back.
Yeah,
Come
but
back to your club.
Sam
Yeah,
Walsh.
we did a few of those a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah, that was my top 5 a few weeks ago. All right, so just back to the footy though. Any interesting fun facts or interesting games between us and the Swans that you want to talk about before we get into our fun stuff? Ash McGrath's 9,000 metre goal back in 2003 at whatever the stadium was called back then, the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
That was pretty bloody good. And
That was fantastic.
And my man Acker played okay in that game.
Yeah.
mate.
I've always had a lot
love
of respect
Jason
for
Ackermanis.
I'm an Ackerbacker. I've still got my shirt somewhere. I'm going to find that and wear it on the bloody podcast one day.
The bloody podcast. That's
I'm
bloody
just trying to
outrageous.
think where it is. It's probably packed in a box somewhere at one of my parents' places. But I have that shirt somewhere.
Hang on. It's packed in a bloody box.
But yeah, no, I've always respected the Swans. I mean, our rivalry has always been pretty interesting, and prior to the expansion clubs coming on the scene, they were our partner for rival round. So
yeah, and this is the true New South Wales versus Queensland game of football for the week. Don't worry about that other one played at Lang Park.
yeah, all the Maroon supporters get on board. We'll get our own back against the
Yep.
New South Welshmen this week. And
I've always had a soft spot for them because they were the closest thing to a team that's kind of gone through a similar experience to us. I mean, they didn't merge, but they relocated and rebranded from being a Victorian team.
So
it's pretty rare.
I watched a video on YouTube about 2 weeks ago about the whole process of when they moved from South Melbourne to Sydney. Bloody hell. I'm going to send you both the link, and I'll probably post it on our socials because it was actually really it was really bloody outrageous, a lot of the stuff they had to go through. I did not realise it was that difficult for them. Yep. And a man I know and love, Barry Round, 1981 Brownlow medalist, joint Brownlow medalist with our very own Bernie Quinlan, and a legend of the Williamstown Football Club, Barry Round, was the Swans captain at the time. And, he had to go through a hell of a lot of stuff and actually got sacked by one of their coaches, who then got sacked a couple of days later, and Barry was reinstated.
It's funny how much the AFL now supports the expansion clubs, and what they'll do for Tasmania hopefully will be fantastic. But the stuff that they've put other clubs through in terms of expanding this competition, whether it was South Melbourne relocating to Sydney, whether it was the merger with the Fitzroy Lions and the Bears, like, it's just mind-boggling when you think about it in context.
Yeah, they've learnt the hard way, and probably at ours and South Melbourne supporters' expense, sadly. But they have learnt the hard way that you've got to do more and be better, as we like to say.
You could also add the Port Adelaide upgrade from the Sandford to the AFL because they had to change a fair bit of their identity to not clash with
They really
Collingwood.
did.
Well,
Yeah.
they actually were separate. I think Adam from Down the Guts, when we had him on, explained that they were separate from 1997 until only a few years ago from the Port Adelaide Magpies as well.
Yeah.
So let's play a little bit of 6 degrees of separation. Let's see if we can
Yeah.
come up with two each. Six common threads. So I'm going to go first. Warwick Kappa. Play for the Swans and the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig Bolton. Played for the Bears and Lions and premiership player for the Swans. And a very, very underrated player. So much so that you guys had no idea I was talking about it first.
Well, I was wondering where you were going with that one.
Because let's face it, I mean, he had a teammate called Jude Bolton who was a hell of a lot more popular sort of in football circles.
Yep.
But Craig was a fantastic footballer. I wish he never left our club, but can't keep them all.
I've got two
Yep.
that I can think of that have crossed between the two clubs.
Yep.
Obviously, the big one, Daniel Bradshaw.
Yes, and that first game back against us.
Do you think he was trying to send a message?
Yeah, I think he was trying
It was subtle.
He was just trying to let Michael Voss know that they're still good friends and he'd love to have a beer with him after the game.
Mm-hmm.
And my second is a bit of a favourite of mine, Squizzy Taylor.
Yeah.
Mm.
Our mate Louis.
Yeah. Turning circle of a semi-trailer, but great kick on the goal.
Hey, he won the Rising Star over the Bonds, so, you know.
And that never gets brought up, and it's never a salty thing that the journalists still bring up to this day.
And David King got fined a lot of money because he was found to be gambling on Louis Taylor for the Rising Star that year. And
Really?
and you know how they figured it out? All year, he kept talking him down, like obsessively talking him down for being a Rising Star chance.
Yeah.
And then it was found out later when they did an investigation because it seemed a bit sus that he'd been gambling on him.
I'd completely forgotten about that.
Yeah. It was, yeah. So, Deborah, you're not in trouble this time.
Put me on the spot here.
What have you
Well, it
got?
depends on your answers, really.
It doesn't have to be players. It could be coaches. It could be games. It could be. That time we had an away jumper that looked like the Swans South Melbourne style jumper.
Paul Roos,
Mm-hmm.
who played for Fitzroy but coached the Swans.
And
Here it is.
And was allegedly going to be our coach for 2014, but the club got that wrong.
Allegedly.
Imagine how good we would have been in 2014, kicking 6 goals, 9 to 4 goals, 2 every week.
Oh, my God. It would have been a little bit funny. Very
He's
funny.
kind of dropped off the radar a bit, hasn't he? I haven't really.
So Paul Roos married an American, a bit like Nick Revolt, married an American, and they sort of swapped their lives between America and Australia a lot. But I think he got to the point where he just had enough of the footy media, and I'm pretty sure he lives in Hawaii or somewhere now. Now I'm happy to be corrected on that.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the vibe.
It was Marbo.
Constitution.
Do you guys remember when Paul Roos was on the couch a couple of years ago? Before the Bucks and before Gary Lyon and
Before Brownie.
Yeah. Do you remember like how he was on that show? He was super serious all the time. Because they break into jokes all the time. You know, they talk seriously, but they break it into comedy and keep it entertaining every once in a while. And I would just always watch him, and he would just never laugh. And he would kind of get annoyed when like jokes would kick off, and he wouldn't get to finish his points and things like that. So I'm not surprised that he eventually left. And that was pretty much the last I saw of him in the media.
Imagine if we had him on our show. We went on a tangent.
Kind of suggests what he would have been like as a coach too.
Dropped off the call.
Very Very serious.
Yeah, he would have had 2 scrapes of Vegemite on his toast every morning for the rest of his life.
If it
Anyway,
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
who else you got, or what else have you got?
So sticking with in the coaching realm,
Mm.
so John Blakely was our assistant coach.
Or is that John
Blakey,
Blakey?
sorry.
Mm.
Was our assistant coach before he headed to the Swans.
And he also played 150 something games for Fitzroy.
Yes.
And a
but I
bunch
was
for
trying
North
to
Melbourne too.
trying to stick in. But imagine if he'd stuck with us, Nick could be here.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys that's played 150 plus for 2 clubs.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember that because it was all, Nick
All
had the
anyone
choice
could
of
talk
3
about.
Yeah, he had the choice of 3 clubs. And
Yeah.
he chose the academy side. I know his dad was working there, but still disappointing.
I do love.
It's not disappointing. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
do love watching the Lizard play when he's not playing against us. So
That will probably help us in a couple of years. So, shh. What are you talking about?
Gee, I wonder what you're talking about.
We love our academy kids, and they should definitely stay with Brisbane.
Oh God, just
except in the case of Jonathan Brown's kids, who should definitely not stay with Gold Coast and come back to Brisbane.
That would be a tragedy.
I mean, they've got to come here. That's like a multi-generation thing there.
Yeah.
So hard when his daughter's.
How many 3-generation, grandfather, son, grandson picks have there been? Not many, I would wager.
There's a handful.
James Heard.
Yeah.
Not for our club, obviously.
That might be a good one to look up on.
And Matthew Primus's grandfather was a staff at Geelong, and obviously
Great band, Primus as well.
Yes, we're known as Big Brown Beaver. What a
that
song!
Could be a good top 5 topic for next week.
But what a and Jerry was a NASCAR driver, a race car driver, something like that. I don't know. Look, I just
very
got
interesting.
the notice on the AFL app saying an outage is affecting several AFL platforms. So
that's a little bit late.
So the score hasn't updated in the Essendon game for me on my phone.
That's because it's at half time.
For like 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
Gee, fancy that. It's been half time for the halftime break.
It says Q3 on my phone. But anyway, all right, well, I guess we'll get into the top 5s and we'll go in reverse alphabetical order of well, for you two anyway. So Deb, what do you got?
So I've got Australian movies, which is why I thought it was hilarious that we brought up The Vibe and Marbo and The Constitution.
And just before you go ahead, I've just for the listeners, heads up, we're not making each other guess it this week. We're just going raw.
Yep.
So hit us with what you've got.
Well, number 1, could it be any other movie other than The Castle? I'll give.
What do you like about The Castle?
Well, number 1, it is such a movie in terms of just following an everyday Australian family, just a good old Aussie family, their fight against the big man and City Hall trying to take their land and resume it. But honestly, how can you go wrong with a movie that spawned quotes like, tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah.
It's going straight to the pool room. How's the serenity?
Just sticks. How much did you want for him?
Tell him he's dreaming.
Dad, I dug a hole. It's filling up with water.
And of course, my personal favorite, which I thought was hilarious because we have already quoted it a little bit out of order, but it's the vibe of it. It's Constitution. It's Marbo.
It's what we do here.
It's you can't go wrong with one of the most, if not the most quoted Aussie film of all time. So
that's fair.
And for the rivet counters who like to point out inaccuracies in movies, Coolaroo is not next door to the airport.
No, it's not. It's
It's not that far away, but it's not next door. But anyway, all-star cast too, by the way.
Absolute all-star cast. But an absolute bonus little bit that I love about it is the movie was only actually filmed in 11 days.
For $12.
I could believe that.
Yeah, for something ridiculously low. So like the budget was less than $100,000 or something for the movie. So
wasn't the house like someone that I think it was like either the director's house or someone heavily involved in the movie's actual house?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty
that's
cool.
Pretty much the whole set.
And
Well,
pretty much as Aussie as you can get.
Yeah.
well, Deb and I are going camping at Bonnie Doon
No, we're not.
because she loves camping.
Camping,
No,
love
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
No.
Are you a glamper, Deb?
I'm a glamper under protest. I like indoor plumbing and beds with proper mattresses. So yeah, no.
What?
Nah, I'd trade that all in for the vibe.
All
Tell you
right.
what, you guys can go do the vibe, and I'll be nice and warm in the hotel.
Sold.
Right. So you better give us the rest of your list.
So number 2 is The Man from Snowy River. Can't go wrong for a movie that is based on one of, if not the greatest Australian poems of all time, which is obviously Banjo Patterson's poem by the exact same name, The Man from Snowy River. What was really cool, Kirk Douglas, who recently passed away, kind of came in as a big Hollywood star to play a couple of the characters in the film. But yeah, it's a really good movie, and I actually have a print of the famous homestead from the movie in my dining room table, which tells you how much I loved it. So
No, that's a good one.
yeah, I got some good ones.
Lots of horses in it, and I am a horse lover.
Lots of horses, and you can never go wrong with that scene where he's going down the mountainside. Oh, it's fantastic. So yeah. Number 3 is another one that harkens back to childhood, and that's Storm Boy. So that's the story of the little kid Mike who strikes up a friendship with a pelican that he names Mr. Percival. That's a running joke with all of my friends up here because I, for some reason, inherited a bronze pelican. I didn't inherit it. I got it when my parents went to Splitsville. So I ended up with the bronze pelican named Mr. and which I called Mr. Percival back when they were still together, and he's still Mr. Percival to this day. And
Have you still got it?
If you open my front door and look straight out the back of my house, which you can, Mr. Percival's in prime position. So
Well, we need to have a photo to go on our socials.
I'm gonna have to see this.
I will send you guys a photo.
That's going straight to the social pool room.
So Mr. Percival is what we've called for a very long time our house mascot. So obviously I've named something that is in my house, and the Wi-Fi code, or not the code, not the password, the name of our Wi-Fi is
Don't give out your password.
No, the name of the Wi-Fi is the Nest because of Mr. Percival's nest. It's a whole thing. So can't go wrong. And also really cool, they just recently did a remake of it in honor of its 40th anniversary, starring
I thought they did.
Jeffrey Rush. So that was pretty cool that, it's good to see absolute superstars give back to the Australian film industry. Yeah, so
very good.
Number 4 is probably far newer than almost every other movie on this one, but is Happy Feet, which most people don't realize was an Australian film, even though it was animated. Starred, obviously Elijah Wood was the main character, but mum and dad for Elijah Wood's character was Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman. Can't get any more Aussie than that.
True.
And it was this really heartwarming, heartfelt story of, being able to accept people that are different. And yeah, it's such a nice message. As I said, was absolutely huge sort of everywhere else, and not one that many know is an Aussie film.
Another thing that gets overlooked about that film, so the maker of that film, George Miller, Australian, also the guy who made the Mad Max series.
Correct. Yes. And
they are so similar.
And he actually had a hell of a lot of the same crew that worked on a lot of the Mad Max movies as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So kind of a bit like Peter Jackson and his crew in New Zealand. It's just sort of they've all come with him. So that's a really lovely bit and bob. So lucky last is The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, because how can you go past a film that is just so well known and so associated with Australia? Obviously starring Hugo Weaving, Mel Gibson and Terence Stamp. You couldn't get bigger Hollywood names than those three. And it's just a good story about a trip from Sydney to Alice Springs and, all of the journeys and what they went on their way. But what's really cool is it's also spawned a musical, and you guys know what I'm like with my musicals. I love them. So
Me too.
the Priscilla musical's been on Broadway, it's been on West End, and it's been around since 2006, continuously in some form, whether it's here or abroad or on tour. So it's good to see that continuing sort of the sharing of Aussie culture.
Beauty.
Lovely. And
Number 5.
Hugo Weaving might get another mention soon, I have a feeling.
I love Hugo Weaving.
Oh, as
He
a
can.
very big Lord of the Rings fan, I do as well.
I have to show you. Hold on. You guys keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going with your list. I'll be back in a second. Okay?
Okay.
Well, she can still hear us anyway.
Yeah, I
So-
can.
So let's not tell any secrets now. So what have you got for us, Al?
So I was asked to pick my top 5 Aussie actors,
Oh,
select actresses.
Yes. Well, you're not meant to be gender specific anymore, so they're all actors.
Yeah, right. That's changed recently.
See?
this was my birthday present this year. One of them.
Middle Earth.
Yeah. But it's
I'm
Wood
also a big-
Cardine.
I am also a big fan of the franchise.
Yeah.
Could you just stop being so lovable?
Yeah, that's I'm diehard.
Oh,
Carry on.
me too. Right. So I'm going to start with 5 and work my way up to my favorite. So
Yes.
I'm going to start
Please
with
do.
number 5. So this is a gentleman he was born in Melbourne and is to this day a massive, massive footy fan. Goes for St Kilda, to be fair.
Yeah.
And he, in several works of his, he has tried to cram in references to St Kilda / the AFL as a whole. So big love for him for that, but also is a fantastic actor on top of it. I'm of course talking about Eric Bana.
Pointer.
Absolutely love him and love how true he is to Aussie culture and Aussie history.
Oh yeah. I mean, think of some of the movies he's been in: Troy, Black Hawk Down, Hulk, obviously Chopper.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's been in so many good movies.
Black Hawk Down was an absolute banger of a movie too, and
That's a once a year for me, to be honest.
and a lot of veterans rave about the absolute accuracy of that whole entire movie. Yeah.
Love him to pieces. So he's my number 5.
Yep.
So you can imagine that the people above him are also going to be in excellent caliber.
That's a really good number 5.
Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good list here, to be honest. Now, this guy was mentioned earlier, but not the one that Ash was mentioning. It's a very offhand mention of yours, actually, Deb. Number 4 is a Toowoomba local and has been in some fantastic movies, such as the Pirates of the Caribbean series,
Yeah.
the King's Speech, and many others. I'm, of course, talking about Jeffrey Rush.
He is brilliant. And so
I thought you were going to say Orlando Bloom for some reason.
Orlando's
he's
a
actually
Pom?
British.
I know
Yeah.
this. I know.
Fellow
Love him
co-star
too.
of. So they've actually done a couple of movies together.
have.
So they have, and then also he with Eric Bana as well, because they're both in Black Hawk Down and they're both
They
in
were.
Troy.
Yeah,
Correct.
and poor Orlando didn't have a very long tenure in Black Hawk Down,
Oh,
unfortunately.
spoilers, missed the rope.
I mean, we should be able to consider Orlando an honorary Aussie because I know he's no longer married to her, but he was married to Miranda Kerr at one point, and his kid's half Australian, so
True.
And
honorary Aussie.
I mean, you know, no, actually, I won't mention this guy's name because I think Al might have him on his list. Knowing Al as well as I do.
Now, my number 3 is a woman who has done a lot of really good Aussie stuff, but is probably most famous for her portrayal of a Sindarin elf named Galadriel.
Oh, I love Kate Blanchett.
Love her to pieces. I don't think there's a bad actor in those series, to be honest.
No.
But she is definitely probably top 5 for me, probably even
Yeah.
top 3, to be honest, in terms of portrayal of character.
Oh, agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and she's made so many good movies over the years,
Oh yeah,
here and overseas.
yep,
correct.
Yeah,
for sure. But she will be remembered eternally, forever,
Galadriel.
for her portrayal of Galadriel.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at this list, I think I'm going to have to go back and watch the trilogy, the extended editions, obviously.
so
Can't have the non-extended editions, not the
so
theatrical version.
Team Swifty is out, and it's now Team Ringy.
It's Team Both. I've been
up,
both for
up the
hello.
ring, up.
I'm a diehard of both. I
Oh,
will not be opposed to either.
I
a
can
massive
follow
Lord
you
of the
down
Rings
the Tolkien era
Oh,
verse for sure. I can't follow you down Taylor Swift era. I'm sorry.
that's okay. I'll wave the Taylor Swift
Oh, I
flag
said
every
Taylor
day,
Swift
but-
and eras together. Oh my God, what have I done? See, I know the references. I've got a young daughter. I know all the things. My partner's a big fan.
She's my age. Like all the life milestones have
Hmm.
just hit at the exact right moments for when her
She's
albums
basically
come
the
out.
third
So,
twin in your family, right?
I mean, I wish.
You're
That'd be
triplet even.
so cool.
There's a word for that. It's triplet, not
Yeah,
third
no,
twin.
but I mean, well, no, she could legitimately be because she's pretty much exactly 9 months younger. So,
Mm, yeah.
There's a can of worms.
So my
Hmm.
number 2 is someone who did get a mention on this pod just before, actually. Has had works like Lord of the Rings,
hmm
The Matrix. He has been in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. He has been in several things. And also he was the voice of Megatron in the Transformers movies as well. Little side note there.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
Well, it's a bit of a surprise. Hugo Weaving
Love
Who?
him.
Yes.
was actually not born in Australia, ironically.
No, he was
Famously
No,
born in
he's-
Nigeria,
Yep.
and he had English parents, but we claim him.
Mhm.
I'm
Does he
stealing
have? Does he have a rich uncle who sends a lot of emails?
him. Yeah, he's part of the royal family in Nigeria, isn't he?
I'll give you the hot tip. Hugo Weaving might be getting another mention.
So on top of obviously
from three.
he plays Elrond and
Yep.
absolutely nails that role. But my
Mhm.
favorite role of his of all time is V in V for Vendetta.
Yep.
He doesn't even show his face in that entire movie. He wears a mask for the entire movie. But it is
Yep.
one of my favorite performances of his ever.
Yeah, he's.
Love that movie. That's another once a year movie.
I think the list of all the good movies and TV shows and everything he's been in.
Not
is-
many misses.
No,
There's
it's
just so many good ones.
it's no, I won't bring in that scene from Top Gun involving Slider and Goose. Let's just say it's long and distinguished.
And so my number one is, I'll just
Mhm.
get that out of the way so Ash can move on to his.
Mm.
This one might be a bit more controversial.
Okay.
So it's, honorable mentions to guys like Hugh Jackman, Russell
Mhm.
Crowe, who's obviously not an Australian either, but we claim him. There's a few of those I've done in my research.
Mhm.
Lots of those actually. Sam Neill, also
Mm.
New Zealander,
Fala.
we claim for ours.
Oh, I thought Sam Neill was going to be in your list.
Well, I mean, to be
Ah.
fair, New Zealand's like our 8th state, isn't
Look,
it?
Sam Neill would probably be 6th, and Hugh Jackman probably 7 if I had to go all the way to 10.
Yep.
But my number one
Yep.
is a true blue Aussie.
Mhm.
And this is the reason that he's my number one is because every single character that he has ever portrayed, I have completely lost him in the role. And
Okay.
I have never had a moment where I've gone, oh, well, that's the actor, which I have for all of the others. Like, they've got very recognizable faces. I'm talking about Heath Ledger,
Yes.
Yeah.
who is no longer with us, but is probably one of the greatest, not even Aussie actors of all time, but one of the greatest actors of all time across all nationalities, in my opinion. He didn't have a big, filmography because obviously he died quite young, but
Yes.
he played some really important characters, and his performances in those characters were incredible.
Yes.
And he will be remembered particularly for his Batman Joker performance. But the Brothers Grimm, A Knight's Tale, there's tons of fantastic performances in that one. So he's my number one.
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain, yeah.
The
Ned
Patriot.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of them. And unfortunately, we'll never get to see another movie of his,
No.
which is sad. Which it's going to be hard to dethrone him, I think, going forward. Because
Yeah, big shoes to fill, definitely.
yeah. So do you want to move on to your?
Yeah, so mine top 5 is historical TV miniseries,
Ooh.
of which there are many because us Aussies love a historical TV miniseries.
We've
I'm
talked
so
about
glad
two
you-
fairly recently.
Yeah, especially back in the 80s and 90s. Now,
Hmm.
I'm going to just kick it off with some honourable mentions. The Vietnam series from 1987, my dad loved watching that.
Yep.
Big fan of Nicole Kidman and Barry Otto, he was.
Mm.
There's a more recent one, the Kettering incident from 2016.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was a little bit out there, wasn't it? But I thought it was really well made. And having lived in Tasmania briefly, it gave me little tingles. One from 1985, the Cowra Breakout, which is about the breakout of the Japanese prisoners from the Cowra prisoner of war camp in New South Wales in 1944. Now, it's really difficult to find an uncut version of that. They've chopped it down to make it into 3 episodes. It was actually 6 on the DVD version, and there's versions of it on YouTube, but they are also chopped to reflect only certain aspects. So it's really hard. And the other honourable mention is Cyclone Tracy from 1986. Now, I was living in Darwin at the time that movie came out for a period of time, not the whole entire year. So we saw it on TV, and I've watched it a ton of times since because it's really well made and really hits home. But into my top 5, and this is all subjective. It's all my own personal choice. And it took me about 3 days to come up with it because there's so many good ones to choose from.
Yeah.
So number 5 I've gone with from 2012, Bikie Wars Brothers in Arms.
Oh, okay.
About the Milpera shootout from 1984. Absolute all-star cast. Matt Nable, former NRL player and great Aussie actor. Very underrated Aussie actor. Absolutely nails Jock Ross, the leader of the Comancheros. And I've seen videos of Jock Ross on YouTube speaking, and I thought it was Matt Nable. Really well made and good, a bit of Aussie fun. Really good soundtrack. A lot of very dodgy fake beards and fake mullets, but
I don't know why anyone would want to fake a mullet.
I know, just get a real one. They're the best.
For sure.
So number 4, and this is a very, very recent one from 2023 on Channel 7, actually, and I had to download their app to watch it. And it's called The Claremont Murders, and it's based on a series of murders and R words, because we can't say the actual word, on Spotify or YouTube, that took place in the suburb of Claremont in Western Australia. And I wasn't hopeful going into it that because, being made in recent times, there's a lot of restrictions on what they can and can't do or say or whatever. But this thing was just amazing. It was so well made. The cast just nailed. I watched a lot of documentaries where they had the parents of the murdered people, and I think it's Eric someone. He was in All Saints. He was also in Pack to the Rafters as well. He was the dad in that. What's his name? He was in it. He was
Eric
one of
Thompson.
Eric, maybe. Eric something.
Thompson. It's like Thompson or Thompson.
Yeah,
like that.
he was amazing. Every actor that played in it, they looked like the people they should have looked like. Knowing Perth, the city, myself quite well, and what it was like back then, because I lived in Western Australia for part of that time. They absolutely nailed the period look of it, the cars, everything, the investigation. They left no stone unturned, telling the story, brilliantly made. So my number 3, and here comes a Hugo Weaving reference. This one's from 1984, and Deb and I, being big cricket lovers, and Al as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Bodyline series.
Oh, that is so good.
Hugo Weaving as Douglas Jardine. I wish I could drop an F-bomb, but we're not allowed to do that. Was bloody amazing. Gary Sweet as Sir Donald Brodman. And there's so, like, the Aussie humour is on full display here. They captured the 1930s so well. Yes, Deb just gave a chef's kiss for the listeners. It's just like, it was so well done. But so one of my favourite scenes from that series was Victor Richardson, who was the grandfather of Ian, Greg and Trevor Chappell.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bit of a larrikin. And there's a scene where Douglas Jardine knocks on the door of the Aussie change rooms. Victor Richardson answers and he goes, "I want an apology for being called a bastard." And Victor Richardson turns around to the rooms and goes, "Which one of you bastards called this bastard a bastard?" As a whatever age I was in 1984, I absolutely found it hilarious, and I still do to this day. Really well done, really well made, and an absolute all-star cast. And they nailed Harold Larwood as well.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, and it's another cricket one. This could have been number 1 because I love watching this, and I actually got a stubby holder in my DVD box set in the shape of a cricket pad. It is, how's that? The Kerry Packer Wars.
That is really good.
Probably the biggest all-star cast on Australian television of all time. And I believe Deborah has something she wants to tell us.
Oh no, I'm just watching the. Oh, what a goal! I'm just watching the game. Sorry, it's really they're trading leads back and forth.
Oh, so the umpires
come back.
The umpires aren't winning anymore.
Oh well, no, the umpires are back to winning. And it was Ben Keys who kicked the goal. That was just
on your Keysy.
That's 4 goals to him at this point.
I would go. It's about 7 minutes left of the third quarter mark. Go watch. That's a good goal.
Yeah, so
that's
one of my favourites. I watched that probably twice or thrice annually.
It's good.
And
the show you're talking about, I'm not. But,
and after I live up to my promise to let Deb take me to a theatre show or a stage show, I'm sure she'll sit down and watch this one with me on the couch and a big bowl of popcorn. But my number 1, and being a war movie lover, as we all 3 of us are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Yep. Secret guilty pleasure.
I'll give you one of the main stars is a man called Paul Hogan.
Oh.
It's about the 8th Battalion of the AIF in the First World War, and it shows their journey from the beginning until the end of the war.
Yep.
As at the time, prior to the Kerry Packer series, I reckon that was probably the biggest all-star cast ever assembled. And that's
so good.
The Anzacs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't go wrong. And Americans who generally do not like war movies or series made from outside of America that don't have Americans in it.
No.
And this one has about 5 Americans in it at different times, but they generally will not like it, but they can't get enough of this series. The English, the Europeans, people in India love this series. That's how good it is. People all around the world. It's so well made. Even today it stands up. And obviously it was a bit cheesy and corny when you look back on some of the humour, but that was the humour of the day. It did their diggers justice, I think.
It's really good and just shows Aussie mateship. The best.
Does. Yeah. And look, and it doesn't demonise the Germans or the Turks either. It shows that at the end of the day, all the soldiers were just blokes doing a job for their government.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't, make anyone look any better or worse. Makes the Aussies come across as a bit funnier and pulls no punches with the horrors of the war either. So that's my top 5 historical TV miniseries from Australian television.
That's pretty good.
Great
list all around, guys.
Yeah,
sure.
well done, Go team. We did well. It's fair to say we all nailed that one. All right. I guess all we got left now is to pick a winner and pick some stars. Who wants to
Yep.
go first?
Shall
Why
we
don't
go
you go first,
alphabetically?
Ash? Because
Me?
we've gone back and forth on who's gone first out of Deb and I. Maybe you should go first, Ash.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
And
idea.
we do traditionally forget to ask me what my tips and predictions are some weeks.
Yeah, but that's just so you can make them up afterwards and say that you're right.
It's very intentional.
And Al, that's a bit like our crustacean friend in his footy tipping comp.
Yeah, too true.
In joke, you had to be there. Yeah, no, look, I think we win. I don't know. I just have a feeling that we win this. It's going to be a seesawing battle. I don't think anyone's going to run away with the game at any point, and we're all going to be biting our nails. And Deb's probably going to be angry texting me at some point. Not that she's a big texter anyway. But
I don't tend to text or message a lot during games because
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You probably do when you're at home sometimes, but not so much when you're at the ground.
more at home, and it'll come in
Yeah.
spurts. Like I won't talk for like 2 quarters, and then I'll send like 15 messages in the space of 10 minutes. And
I can always tell when you're angry.
Spicy Deb comes out.
Mm,
She gets very unhappy sometimes.
she is very feisty and sassy. I think we hear Country Roads twice,
Okay.
and Henry Smith gets a goal in the first quarter, and the place absolutely lifts the roof off.
Let's do it.
And look, I think Heaney's going to have a big one for the Swans. I don't think we'll stop him. He's going to be angry.
Yeah, he's going to have a point to prove about that suspension.
Yeah. Especially with all the attention he's copped in the media for some of the stuff he's said and done in the social media scene in the last 2 weeks as well.
Oh my God. That's been hilarious.
Yeah. And
be interesting.
congratulations also to Shadow Brain on getting his second full game after being the sub for a few times. Ed,
Well, we don't know who the sub's going to be.
yeah. But look, Shads will be on, mate. I
Hope so.
Actually, quite.
Because
Yeah.
Chris Fagan listens to us and he listens to what we tell him.
Of course. He doesn't listen to anyone else, just us.
And Joe Danaher listens to us on his long drives from New South Wales to Springfield.
Well, he doesn't have a TV, so he doesn't have much other entertainment, to be honest.
No, he said many times he listens to podcasts on his drive, and I've often wondered, would Joe be listening to football podcasts, or would he be listening to something a little bit more obscure?
God, no. I don't think he could get anything further from what he'd be impressed with.
Yeah, I don't think there's any Australian sports stuff on there. I don't know what his interests are, but I suspect it's probably a completely unrelated podcast.
Yep.
Maybe like gardening or fishing or something.
Maybe.
Ooh, a fishing podcast. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, Patrick Dangerfield hosts a fishing podcast.
Yeah,
Does
right.
It's actually pretty good. I'll give him credit for that.
And
How does he
gardening
have time?
podcasts, is that just recordings of grass growing or what?
Well, isn't that just watching games of soccer? Ooh.
Hey.
Shots
Oh.
fired.
My Manchester grandfather would be very upset with you right now.
Yeah, well, I am an Everton fan after all, so we're not very good.
Deb, do you want to go next with your predictions?
Yep. So mine aren't too far off yours, Ash. So I think we'll get up by about 2 goals, maybe 13 points in a close roller coaster of a game.
Mhm.
I'm expecting my heart rate to be all over the place. So I think our best is better than theirs, but I think it will be close. It'll be really interesting to see who tags Lockie. I know I mentioned it
if at all.
earlier, but that's been a real big part of the Swans' strategy for a while. But Fremantle and St Kilda have proven that if you play a lot of short, uncontested kicking football, the Swans really don't know how to react to that or handle that. And that's we're the number one team for that sort of style of football in the competition. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. I'm super stoked Stas is back in this week.
Yeah.
I think we copped a lot of flack about our defence, particularly last couple of weeks or last week. but it really irritates me when everyone keeps saying that the Lions have got a really healthy list. But for the knee injuries, the Lions have got a really healthy list. Never mind the fact that half those knee injuries are allowed defenders. So, and then
Yeah, 6
proceed-
ACLs in 12 months. That's very healthy.
definitely. Like, I mean, but that gets under my skin.
Yeah.
Especially when their next comment is always, "Oh, the Lions could do a lot more defensively as a team," but then Joey Montagna gets up and sprouts all his defensive stats, and we're the second best team in the competition for almost all of those stats, like as a
But
whole.
didn't you know Carlton's missing 6 VFL players with short-term injuries? That's way
anyway.
worse.
That's a soapbox I don't need to get into. Or Sassy Dev really will come out firing. I think Charlie will kick 3. I'd like to see him kick a bag, but I think he'll kick 3. I don't think he'll kick 1 in the first quarter, but I think he will absolutely come out firing after halftime. And then my lucky last prediction is that I think Lockie Neal will do enough to earn the 3 Brownlow points again.
Wow.
In spite of Heaney, Goulden, et al.
Brodie Grundy
Because-
probably leading most people's choice for All-Australian Ruckman this year, I would have thought.
I'm really interested to see his battle with Oscar.
Yeah. Very, very different plays to each other, but they have had some really good tussles over the years.
Across Grundy's 3 clubs.
Mm.
He just likes to bounce around, doesn't he?
Yeah,
clubs like to try and get rid of him.
Going to Melbourne was a genius move, let's face it.
That Melbourne's regretting getting rid of him at the end of the last year.
I wonder how Tom Fullerton's going at Melbourne. Is he getting the game?
Your mate?
He played last week. Easy.
If you're listening to a very, very early episode of this show, you might get the reference to Tom Fullerton.
Yeah.
I know his hat collection's going.
Yeah. and his rhinestone shirt collection.
So my prediction is that we get a win.
Yep.
And that it's going to be at the final siren. It's going to be a draw.
Ooh.
And someone's going to have a shot. And they're going to miss and get a behind. And it's going to be this weird mix of emotions that we've technically won, but it was a messy end to the game. I think Henry Smith kicks his first goal in the game somewhere. I'm not going to be bold to predict a quarter, but I think it's going to be a single point win. I think we hear his song. I think we hear Country Roads probably just once.
Okay.
But it's going to be the toughest.
Is that including at 3/4 time or during the game?
Hey.
Oh, God, don't get me started. Don't get me started, mate. I've
We had
made
a good debate on that.
one. Or
I'm
just
cheeky
play it
sometimes.
Just play it for the goals. It ruins
You and
the
I are on
specialty.
completely other opposite fences on that.
That's fine. That's
I'm
We
sorry.
get Charlie into the game.
I'm sorry.
I don't
Bob.
care what you do if you get Charlie into the game.
Yeah.
Play it 10 times at the break.
So that's my prediction. And
Okay.
I've got a question following up after that for the two of you.
Oh.
If we beat the Swans, which the three of us are predicting to
Yep.
various degrees of success,
Mhm.
is the lid off?
I think we have to beat the Suns away. That's when the lid comes off
Why
I
are the
agree.
Suns?
because they are the most successful home team of the season.
Yeah, true.
100%.
Weird when you look at it that way, but you're
Yeah.
right.
100% home record, and they've beaten some good teams there as well. It's not like they've just beaten North Melbourne, Richmond, and West Coast.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
true.
And a lot of media outlets are still running with this. Oh, Brisbane are shaky at home. They've got a bad record there this year. How many have we lost?
Like, I think like the first two or something, wasn't it?
3.
3? Yeah.
How many have we won?
All
The
the rest.
rest.
Yeah, so don't
Five,
let.
6, 7.
And so the three were Carlton and Collingwood in rounds 1 and 3, or opening round and 3,
Mm.
which was in that period where we were literally losing like a player by halftime every game.
Well, it was the Vegas trip, wasn't it?
And the third one was Geelong in the wet, The
Yeah.
second it started raining and it was Geelong, I was like, well,
The game, I brought a bunch of people to that had never seen the game before. That was a good
oh,
game to pick
ouch.
them. Yeah, and the Carlton one was
Ouch.
only 1 point as well. So
Carlton one was only 1
Yeah.
point. And we were so far in front until Kitty went down, and then our defense just kind of fell apart.
yeah,
Mm,
it's funny you mentioned the Suns thing, Ash. When who would have thought that we'd ever be in a position where everyone goes, "Oh, you're not a flag favorite until you've beaten the Suns at home." That's
Yeah.
that's the old Geelong down at Kardinia Park. That's the old West Coast at
Subiaco.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
Now
they
it's the
towed us up
Suns
at
that-
home last year.
it's the Suns at whatever bank they've named their stadium after this year.
But as I said, they towed us up at home last year. Like, we did not play well that game.
No, we were garbage.
And I was there last year. I'm going this year, so you better win, Lions. I'm sick of traveling. You guys losing on me.
You know what you haven't been doing this season?
What?
And this was the first time I ever knew what you looked like. No regrets. You used to chuck up a selfie of yourself at the ground. Now you're just taking photos of the grass.
Because I want everyone to see what the ground looks like. Because I get in half an hour before every single other person in the ground gets in. Haha, suckers. So I'm like, well, I'm just sharing so everyone has a little bit more of an idea of what the ground looks like.
Just bragging about your privilege there. But hey, some of us want to see what you look like. It's better than seeing the grass, don't you think? Oh, you might not think that, but other people do. Al's choking.
Maybe I'll chuck a selfie up at the Suns game when I'm down there.
Yeah, just text it to me because, I still think the selfie is a better option.
Nah. Normally by that time I've been standing out in the sun for a couple of hours and I'm just like, ugh.
Hey, as a fellow
The joys of being a member.
As a fellow white person, I hear you on that, but what do you do? You should be used to it now. You're not a Victorian anymore.
I hate.
Oh, you don't embrace your Brisbaneite? You're
No.
Oh,
No.
jeez, that's
I'm a proud Victorian.
that's
Did you
cold.
choose to move up here, or were you forced against your will to move up here, Deb?
The parentals.
But aren't you a grown adult who can make her own decisions?
Except all my family is here, so all my immediate family, all my extended family is back.
I would
in Victoria.
happily move states to get away from most of my family.
Yeah, I've got an identical twin. She moved to Longreach for a couple of years, and that sucked. So we're not doing that again.
Well, maybe Alice, what's her name? Anastasia Palaszczuk. She's still a premier.
No, she's gone.
No, she's gone. It's
Oh,
Miles now.
Yeah, Milesy. Maybe he might deport you when he listens to our latest episode in a day or so.
I like him. He gave me a discount on my power bill.
His failings are the reason why your power bill went up 19% this year. For him to then give you a discount.
Oh, okay.
No,
I know
sorry. It doesn't matter like either way. It just irritates me when governments are like, here's a discount for something that we've caused the problem of and we're not going to fix the root issue.
Angry Deb.
I told you Sassy Deb was coming out. No, and it'd be like, it's like when, like the Lions, for example. This is a really good example. Here's a $10 or a $20 voucher to spend at the Lions shop as part of your membership. Well, I've already paid for that. But this is you giving me something so I feel like I'm having a feel-good moment because, I get a discount or I get a freebie. That's not really. You're paying for it already.
Here's $10 to spend at our shop where the cheapest thing is $74.
Itchy and scratchy bucks are not refundable.
Pretty much, so it's the exact same sort of premise. So
we did.
I'm just irritated because my electricity bill came 2 weeks ago and it was insane. So I was very cranky about that. Still cranky about that.
Shouldn't leave the lights on at night when you go to bed.
All the party lights that you must leave on.
Woot, party!
Christmas lights in July. I reckon you'd have Christmas lights up too.
Yep, got to. That's the face of it, middle. Busted.
So I have ones outside that are solar that are just, after Christmas, they just turn into, just lights.
General
They're
party
fine.
lights.
Yeah, just fairy lights.
Pick
and
that
then-
one from a mile away.
If you
There's
don't
ones
want
in
to take
my-
them down, you can always find a use for them somewhere, right?
Mm.
Well, the ones in my room are fantastic because they go on pretty much like 5-ish at night and then turn off at about 10, 11, and they just automatically go on and off. But it just means I don't have to use overhead lights. Or if, I've come upstairs and I've been watching a movie or something and I want to put an overhead light on, I've got enough light to do whatever I need to do at night. Which is how I'm like, how is my electricity bill so big? I'm not even using the big lights.
I just use a torch on my. I'm not contractually obliged to say the brand, but it is a phone.
I've gone full dad mode, and I'm the kind of dad that walks around and goes, "Hey, who's leaving these lights on?"
Yep.
Turning
Yep.
everything off that does not need to be turned off. And my dad was exactly the same. And I was
Give
just
me a
like,
fist
"Oh,
bump.
geez."
I'm in your
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, mate. My dad,
My dad-
was always the same, and I was always like, "Oh, geez, what a cheap, come on, it's not going to cost you that much." And now I'm like, it does cost that much. Turn it off.
Exactly. So no, I'm not going to disagree with you there because I'm the exact same. I'm like, why have we got this on? Why is this on? Why is this on? Oh my God, what are you doing?
The coffee machine does not need to be on at midnight. Come on.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Flick off.
So as an extension of me being locked in my room of my house, I left the griller on in the kitchen for those 3 or something else as well.
How did you not burn your house down?
You're one of those guys we see in those fire safety ads the government puts out every year.
Well, I don't have gas in my house; it's all electricity.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
You're lucky you didn't
massive
call us an electrical fire there.
Because I had to rush home and quickly grill up a chicken fillet and eat it and so forth. No, actually, that wasn't the same night. That was another night. That was the night we recorded.
How many times have you had to break into your own house, Ash?
Just the once.
Oh.
Funnily enough, I was already inside of my house, but I had to break into another part of my house.
You have to shout out to your neighbours, "I do live here. Don't call the police.
It's funny.
Nothing's wrong."
Luckily, I just dislocated my shoulder climbing through the window into my bathroom instead.
That sounds painful.
You got another one. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, have we got any final thoughts before we go?
I have one. It's a little bit of a funny. We can thank our very good friend of the podcast, Stacey, for this.
Shout
Shout out to Stacey. Everyone, do me a favor and Google Henry Smith AFL.
Oh, yes. She sent me a screenshot of this afternoon.
So it comes up with a photo, obviously, of our lovely Henry Smith, who is actually debuting, but brings up the stats. Born 25th of August, 1882. Died 25th of Feb 1957. So we think it's very impressive.
He's just that good that he can just keep going despite the adversity.
He's dead, but he's still playing. So shout out to Stacey for bringing that to my attention. It's hilarious. So go do it.
Well,
the first picture that comes up is a very awkward Sandful photo.
Yes.
From very early on.
Very early on. But the Henry Smith, they're obviously referencing the former Melbourne player from the VFL days. So not our Henry Smith, but terrible photo of him. He is a vampire.
But he's immortal.
Good old Hank Demon Smith.
Yep.
We'll know he's vampire if he only plays night games.
Well, this will be a day game, so...
he's going to have a lot of sunblock on.
Clearly must have a daylight ring. But yeah.
How good.
So, on that note, we can probably wrap up, hey?
Thought it was hilarious.
Deb, do you want to stick around for a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. If we can think of something we can make up for our Patreon.
Ooh. Oh, fun and games.
We'll get Al on cam soon so we can get him on the Patreon too.
Yeah.
Shadow puppet competition.
I'm going to make a shadow puppet of an air guitar.
You could do that. Good luck. I mean, you might need a couple more hands than two.
The dog's the easy one. You guys don't know how to make the dog, right? Like, that's the easy one.
Oh, there's a couple of different ones.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Yep. You can definitely cut all of this out. That's more than fine.
I plan to.
Thanks.
All right. Well, there we go. Thank you for coming on, and
Fabulous. Go Lions.
have a good day and a half or so before the game. It's not even a half a day because it's.
Mhm.
So for those who haven't looked at the time of the game yet, it is 1:10 Eastern States time on Sunday. I
So stupid that it's
think
1
it-
versus 4 and it's
I
1 o'clock on a Sunday.
don't think we're getting it on Channel 7, but I'll double check that. Here we go.
Shout out to my daughter, obviously, as well. She's turning 7 tomorrow.
Oh, happy
Yes.
birthday!
Oh,
Yes.
speaking of which, did she get a was she at Auskick recently when the AFLW players turned up?
No.
Yeah, I saw that they were down at the Jags.
Oh, no, we must have missed it. She just pivoted out of Auskick into ballet in the
Yeah,
most recent season, like only a couple of weeks ago. We
yeah,
must have just
Oh.
missed that.
yeah. It was
Was it
like
Nat Grider and stuff?
it
Or?
was Nat Grider and I think Poppy Bolts. I think I'm not 100% on that.
Damn. That would have been great.
Look, I'm pretty sure Nat Grider was there because she had something on her Instagram about it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that would have been great. It's great
Yeah,
that she still goes down there. I mean, it's a very small club, but they do good work down there. Shout out
actually,
to the Jindalee Jags. Awesome club name.
yeah. Here's something I will leave in, so I'm going to have to do a bit of stitching to get to this part. But for the AFLW fans as well, Dakota Davidson signed on for a couple more years during the week as well.
Massive.
So that's huge. I mean, she was always going to be playing, and
Never in doubt. Yeah. 1 year. would be nice.
yeah, and yeah, and I'm pretty sure Jennifer Dunn's heading back pretty soon as well from Ireland. She's just finishing up her season over there. And the leadership group was announced in the last fortnight. Bree Conan and Nat Grider leading their club again.
As expected.
As a
Winning formula.
no-brainer. And the rest of the leadership group is as expected as well. I think it's stayed the same from last year. I don't think there's any changes.
I'm so keen to get back into it.
Mm.
Definitely. And can confirm for anyone listening that it is on free to air on Channel 7 on Sunday, our game.
Mm.
Beauty.
So hopefully, no, we won't get the Dwayne Russell Foxtel feed, so he'll do the later game. Yeah.
Well, maybe it might be the only Channel
falling
7.
off his TV commentator,
Mm.
drinking his milk and his Coke and his Red Bulls together.
And
Yep.
eating his block of Cadbury chocolate.
Well, I can't fault him there. I'm a bit guilty of that myself, to be honest.
Mm.
So just having a quick look, and I think we're Channel 7 or 7 mate for every game for the remainder of the season, apart from Essendon because that hasn't been announced.
Mm. There you go.
Beauty.
And wouldn't it be great in that last round that we knocked the Bombers out of the top 8 permanently with
That
a
would
one
be
with
chef's
a
kiss.
1 point victory after the siren
That would
To-
be
to a
very
dod- to a
satisfying.
dodgy free kick.
Oh no, we
Oh.
don't want dodgy freak. Even if they're
No.
for us, we don't want
Yeah,
dodgy freak.
yeah, I know, but that would just social media would absolutely melt down. And the Essendon fans blaming umpires' Facebook page would go into overdrive.
Yep. Also, I'm going to have to give an apologies that 7 is for Brisbane. It's not for Melbourne. Sorry,
Yeah, so
guys.
it'll be the Foxtel feed on 7.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully we get some decent commentators. All
That's the
right.
first time for everything, isn't there?
No, we
I
had
mean,
a good team
anytime we don't
last
have
week.
BT, it's a win.
Anytime
That's
we
true.
have my man Paps, and Kath Lofton
Yeah, I like
as
the West
well.
Aussie crew.
Yeah.
Also in other news, and I don't know whether you want to put this on or not, but Noah Answorth's been named in our VFL side this week.
Very good.
Beauty.
I'm a big fan of Noz this year.
Yeah, hopefully he has a good game, and then maybe he'll come back instead of Connor.
Hmm.
Bit of wait and see on that one.
Yes, indeed. All right. Oh, that'll
All
do it. That'll
I'll
do
love
it
you
for
and
the
leave
show.
you guys. You want to
Okay.
stay on and have a chat afterwards, but I'll leave you
Yep.
here. I've got to get up super early for my daughter's birthday tomorrow. We're going out to the zoo.
Give her a
Hope you have the best time.
high five
Jeez.
from me, and
Yeah.
and I'll shout her a beer next time I'm up there.
Yep. Is
And-
that
Huge happy
a
birthday from both
is
of
that
us.
a you're not coming up for another at least 10 years, or is that a you committing a crime?
No, that's I'll shout her a beer, but
A little
doesn't
bit
mean
of column A, a little bit of column B.
it doesn't mean she's the one drinking the beer.
True. Yeah, you can buy it for her and she can give it to me.
Yeah. All right.
See you later,
No worries,
guys.
mate. Have a good
See
Pleasure
one.
ya.
as always.
Have a
Have
good
a
one.
wonderful
And
day.
I'll chat to you over the weekend about when we're going to record the next one.
Oh, you'll talk to me, mate.
Yeah.
We never stop talking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we text each other in our sleep and don't even realize it.
I text you more than I do my partner.
Ooh.
Is that because you call her?
No, it's because we spend a lot of time together, basically. Every moment we're not at work, we're basically together, so there's no need to
Aw,
message
I
each
love
other.
that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, love you. See you
Okay.
later.
Yeah, love you, mate. Have a good one.
Bye.
Say hi to your mums for me.
Will do.
Will do.
That's a Rove McManus joke if
That
anyone
is-
missed out on that.
100% a Rove McManus joke. Almost as good as Effie's. Hello, good thanks.
Fellow West Australian and first cousin of a former Fremantle Dockers skipper,
Yes.
Ooh.
Sean Stinky McManus. And off air, I might tell Deb why his nickname was Stinky.
Beauty. See you later, guys.
All right, see
See
you, mate.
Al.
Bye.
Go.
This episode was produced by Steel Hat Productions. Please follow us and enable notifications to get our latest episodes anywhere podcasts are available. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review.
Hey, Freya, guess what?
What, Ash?
We've got a Patreon now.
What's a Patreon?
I'm glad you asked. Patreon is a website we have started using to promote our extra content, such as those really long tangents that our listeners love, but are not quite on topic for a particular episode. So we need somewhere else to put them so people can still listen. We might also have some fun competitions, giveaways, and other fun interactions for our listeners to join in with.
Sounds great. How do the listeners get on board?
Go to patreon.com and click on the join link. All you need to do for a fan account is add your name and email address and then search for We Are the Pride Brisbane Lions podcast and give us a follow. We aren't asking for your money. It's free.
Sounds great, champ. I'm heading to patreon.com right now.
Damn, Freya. I can't believe you champed me.